An essay presents a valuable opportunity to showcase one's knowledge and understanding. As a writer, the initial step involves gathering ample materials and crafting a well-structured essay consisting of 4 or 5 paragraphs, incorporating quotes to bolster the argument. When readers seek a book or article to peruse, their decision is often made from the outset, determining whether the work merits attention. To impress your teacher, particular attention should be paid to refining the introduction, especially the opening sentences. Incorporating an essay hook, be it something intriguing, humorous, shocking, or thought-provoking, can captivate the reader's attention from the outset. 𝗙𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 is a co-host of New Mexico in Focus and is also the managing editor for the New Mexico Independent, which is an online news site. He says that the Internet has some great benefits for journalism. The Internet is this new, amazing medium. Not so new. It's been around quite some time now. But it's maturing as, among other things, a place for journalism. In a sense, the Internet allows you to tell stories better than in a newspaper or on television. For this reason, you can do it all online. You can have the written word, you can have still photographs, you can have video. You can link and kind of connect to the other journalism that has been done on a given topic. So it's not like you're in a vacuum. Pancake ice, an intermediate phase between open water and frozen bodies, forms under a combination of frigid temperatures and waves. After its formation, the ice encounters a diverse range of frequencies from various sources, such as wind shear and ocean waves. Our research aims to explore these interactions by studying each frequency range individually to gain a comprehensive perspective on pancake ice behavior. This knowledge will benefit meteorological modelers investigating cold regions like Antarctica and the Arctic. Conducted at UNIMELB's Sea Ice Wind Wave Interaction Facility, designed by Jason Monti, our modular setup allows for future expansion to accommodate longer runtimes and advanced wave studies when we relocate to Fisherman's Bend. The lifestyle of Upper Paleolithic people is understood through remnants of their meals, tools, weapons, and debris from crafting. They were hunter-gatherers, relying solely on nature for sustenance and not practicing agriculture or herding. They hunted large herbivores and supplemented their diet with berries, leaves, roots, fruits, and mushrooms. Their hunting seemed indiscriminate, as evidenced by the discovery of bones from pregnant and young animals. While they primarily lived close to cliff bases for shelter, they used tents made from animal hides on the plains and valleys. In some regions, they constructed huts using large bones and tusks. During a significant period, a wave of activism emerged to combat discrimination and injustice. Activists united, employing nonviolent protests and targeted civil disobedience, such as the Montgomery bus boycott and Greensboro Woolworth sit-ins, to bring about change. This activism was particularly prominent in the southern United States, but individuals of all races and religions from across the country joined in support of freedom and equality. The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963 saw a massive gathering of 250,000 Americans, hearing influential speeches, including Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic address.
We've explored the challenges of managing a moderately sized city like Melbourne, including transportation, law enforcement, housing, and food supply. However, we'll shift our focus to megalopolis cities with over 10 million inhabitants next time. Before that, let's delve into history when cities had thousands rather than millions of residents. Plato envisioned an ideal city in the Republic with a population of around 25 to 30,000, echoed by Leonardo da Vinci's ideal cities. Among these inhabitants, only 5,000 would be considered citizens. This number might have been chosen for practical reasons, making public address and voting systems more manageable. Two decades ago, Kashmiri houseboat owners rubbed their hands every spring at the prospect of the annual influx of tourists. From May to October, the hyacinth-choked waters of Dal Lake saw flotillas of vividly painted shikaras carrying Indian families, boho Westerners, young travelers, and white-eyed Japanese. Carpet sellers honed their skills, as did purveyors of anything remotely embroidered, while the houseboats initiated by the British Raj provided unusual accommodation. Then, in 1989, separatist and Islamist militancy attacked and everything changed. Hindus and countless Kashmiri businesspeople bolted. At least 35,000 people were killed in a decade, the lake stagnated, and the houseboats rotted. One of the things that people have said about agriculture is that on the whole it's more labor-intensive than hunting and gathering, and that's one of the reasons why people have looked to explanations which, you might say, are kind of coercive factors, that people have been forced into agriculture because they had no alternative. That is ultimately what may happen. But at the very beginning it could be that agriculture was developed because people wanted special status foods for feasting. That it was actually a social need. I mean, how much of what we do in our lives is generated by competition with others? And a lot of that is powered by desire for new things, new statuses, new whatever it might be. Respect, recognition also are important. One day the banana is perfect. Bright yellow, firm, flavorful, but even within that same day brown spots appear on your perfectly ripe banana, its flesh turns mushy, and it's destined for the compost or at best, banana bread. But scientists are developing a way to extend the life of ripe bananas. It's a 𝗙𝗶𝗹 coating made from chitosan A substance found in crab and shrimp shells. The new gel can be sprayed on bananas to slow the ripening process by up to 12 days. Like other fruits, bananas remain alive after being picked, and it actually continues to respire. This means that they take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. The more the banana breathes, the faster it ripens and then rots. Like evidence of nuts, grasses and green veggies, chemical traces of wood smoke, and tiny, intact starch granules, proof Neanderthals ate their carbs. And in one individual, they detected compounds found in the medicinal herbs chamomile and yarrow. The herbs have no nutritional value. And since Neanderthals did have the gene to detect the herb's bitter taste, the researchers speculate that the cave dwellers were munching on them not as food but to self-medicate. Not too far-fetched, they say, because primates like chimps also use medicinal plants. Luckily for the scientists doing this detective work, Neanderthals may have known a thing or two about medicine, but they didn't get regular checkups at the dentist.
Looking out of a window, you can determine the current season based on the visible natural elements. This practice of observing biological events in relation to seasonal and climate changes is known as phenology. By examining the leaves of a tree or plant and assessing the qualities of sunlight outside, you can deduce the season. Phenology has been utilized by humans since ancient times. For example, noticing daffodil buds pushing through the snow indicates the arrival of spring, while witnessing leaves transition from green to red and observing migrating birds signals the onset of autumn. The term phenology originates from the Greek words pheno, meaning to show or appear, and logos, meaning to study. While it is uncommon for adults to contemplate their parents' thoughts, the question of our own value persists, albeit redirected toward modern authorities like media and social media. In this unforgiving arena, individuals plagued by self-doubt seek reassurance and validation, implicitly asking questions like, "Do I deserve to exist?" or, "Am I beautiful or respectable enough?" Unfortunately, social media, built upon the tribulations of the individual, rarely provides a reliable affirmative answer. These self-doubters find themselves trapped in an endless cycle of seeking reassurance whenever their spirits plummet, turning to their phones for permission to continue. If this resonates with us, we should be curious about and perhaps envious of those who enjoy freedom from such anxieties. An important lesson I've gleaned is that highly effective individuals and teams in any field share a common practice that we can all adopt. They deliberately alternate between two distinct zones, the learning zone and the performance zone. The learning zone is when their primary objective is improvement, engaging in activities designed to enhance their skills. They focus on areas they have not yet mastered, fully expecting to make mistakes and viewing them as opportunities for learning. Conversely, the performance zone is when they strive to execute tasks to the best of their ability. Here, they concentrate on their existing mastery, aiming to minimize mistakes. The process of feeling full begins when food travels from your mouth to your esophagus and reaches your stomach, gradually filling it up. This causes the stomach's muscular wall to stretch, expanding like a balloon. Nerves wrapped around the stomach wall detect this stretching and send signals through the vagus nerve to the brainstem and hypothalamus, which are the main regions controlling food intake. However, the brain uses more than just the stomach's stretching to sense fullness. Hormones produced by endocrine cells in your digestive system also play a role. These hormones respond to specific nutrients in your gut and bloodstream, gradually increasing as you digest food. In 2019, 𝗧𝗿𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗲 conducted a study analyzing satellite images of global tree cover. By incorporating climate and soil data and excluding areas used by humans, they found that the Earth could potentially support almost 1 billion hectares of additional forest, equivalent to 1.2 trillion trees. This unexpected finding prompted further research. Updated estimates suggest that restored ecosystems could capture 100 to 200 billion tons of carbon, accounting for more than 1/6 of human carbon emissions. 6 countries hold over half of the potential forest canopy for restoration projects. This research also provides insights for existing initiatives like the Bond Challenge, which aims to restore 350 million hectares of forest by 2030.
Color is a remarkable characteristic of life. To understand color, it's helpful to consider light as a wave. Before diving into that, let's explore the general concept of waves. Imagine sitting on a boat in the ocean, observing a cork bobbing up and down in the water. You notice that the motion repeats itself, following the same path over and over, up and down, up and down. This repetitive pattern is a key feature of waves. You decide to measure the time it takes for the cork to go from its highest position to its lowest and back up again, finding that it takes 2 seconds. In physics terms, you have determined the period of the waves the cork is riding on, the time it takes for a wave to complete one full cycle of motion. The lack of mental and emotional well-being among Native Alaskans is a significant social issue faced by the state of Alaska. It is unfortunate that many Native Americans across the country are living in poor conditions, and this is especially true for Native Alaskans. Entire villages are plagued by the absence of mental and emotional well-being, resulting in continued poor physical and mental health. Alcohol abuse, domestic violence, homicides, and suicides are distressingly prevalent among them, leading to the disintegration of families. It is tragic to witness the abuse and inadequate education of many children, who themselves resort to alcohol and substances. The process of converting facts into memories involves three key steps. First, there is acquisition, where new information is encountered, activating specific brain areas corresponding to sensory experiences. To form lasting memories, these experiences must be consolidated by the hippocampus. Influenced by the amygdala, which prioritizes emotionally significant encounters. The hippocampus then encodes memories by strengthening synaptic connections formed during the initial sensory experience. Once encoded, memories can be recalled or retrieved later. Memories are distributed throughout the brain, with the prefrontal cortex likely signaling their retrieval. How does stress impact these stages? Consider the scenario of being on vacation in Athens for the first time. During the day, numerous new events, sights, and sounds unfold, making time seem to pass quickly. However, in retrospect, when looking back the next day or after returning from vacation, the day appears to have been long. This observation was noted by William James over a century ago in his Principles of Neuroscience. Retrospectively, we estimate the duration of time based on the number of memories we have. If a period is filled with new memories, it gives the impression of being a long period of time. In contrast, during the actual experience, we rely on an internal clock in our brain, paying less attention to time. While many believe that a good work culture involves perks like free food, swag, prestige, and making friends, these are not the top priorities for the majority of American workers today. If company leadership remains under these illusions, they will continue incentivizing and designing environments that no longer align with the true priorities of the workforce. What people truly desire is for work to enhance their overall life. They want to be trusted to make decisions about how they work and seek more meaning and purpose in their tasks. The illusions that keep pulling us back to conformity, which the group no longer values, hinder us from achieving a fulfilling life. The temptation now is to think, since everything is online, I don't need to attend class, noted Dr. Carrie Lee Krause from the Center for the Study of Higher Education at the University of Melbourne. As the nation's universities open their doors for the new academic year, initial class attendance is usually good, but it often dwindles over time. Dr. Krause explained that there is concern at the university level about the decline in student attendance and the reasons behind their reluctance to attend lectures. However, due to lecturers' pride and the fierce competition among universities for students, very few are willing to publicly acknowledge the poor attendance rates in many classes. it is frequently argued that a state's foreign policy revolves around its borders. While this statement may be exaggerated, it contains a grain of truth. Particularly during the formative years, a state's relationship with its neighboring countries is significantly influenced by its frontier policy, especially when borders are not clearly defined. In the past, empire builders sought to expand their imperial frontiers for various reasons, such as subjugating kings and princes to secure their allegiance, obtaining substantial tributes or wealth for the state, and ensuring the security of the empire's core against external attacks by establishing buffer states along the borders. The lessons may not have been in vain, even though they may not have followed the standard Latin American Spanish or Castilian, which are predominant in U.S. schools. The confusion stems in part from the diverse nature of the Spanish-speaking world, as Spanish is spoken in 19 different countries and Puerto Rico. Consequently, there is no singular standard dialect. The most commonly taught Spanish dialect in the U.S. is Standard Latin American, also known as Highland Spanish because it is primarily spoken in the mountainous regions of Latin America. While each country retains its unique accents and vocabulary, countries like Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia generally use Latin American Spanish, especially in urban areas. Fans of biographical criticism have an abundant resource in the literary works of Hans Christian Andersen. Similar to Lewis Carroll, and to a lesser extent, Kenneth Grahame, Andersen had a profound discomfort in the presence of adults. Of course, all three had to engage and work with adults, but their ability to connect genuinely thrived in the company of children and their simpler worlds. Andersen even ran a puppet theater for a period and became incredibly popular among children. Additionally, he authored an impressive collection of fairy tales, which have been published in countless editions since the 19th century. When I entered my master's program at Oxford last year, I had just completed medical school and had made the decision to permanently leave the field of clinical science. Looking back, I now realize that I didn't fully appreciate the weight of this decision at the time. However, today I have a clearer understanding of the repercussions of abandoning my original profession. When I meet old friends who are now practicing physicians and surgeons, I can sense the divergence in our perspectives on medical issues. They focus on examining the effects of diseases and attempting to eliminate or alleviate them, while I strive to comprehend how they originate in the first place.
The principal recommendation of world conferences emphasized that countries should assume full responsibility for their own development. This responsibility is considered a necessary consequence of sovereignty. According to the Monterrey Consensus, each country bears the primary responsibility for its economic and social development, highlighting the crucial role of national policies and development strategies. The Johannesburg Plan of Implementation called for all governments to commence the implementation of National Sustainable Development Strategies, NSDS, by 2005. Additionally, the 2005 summit set a target for all developing countries to adopt and initiate the implementation of these strategies to achieve internationally agreed goals by 2006. A new book, co-authored by an academic from the University of East Anglia, emphasizes the importance for organizations to enhance the integration of their sales activities, both internally and in alignment with customers' requirements. The book delves into how sales can contribute to fostering a customer-centric approach within organizations, while also examining their response to various challenges such as heightened competition, increasingly demanding customers, and a more intricate selling environment. In light of rising costs and growing customer influence, organizations must strategically allocate their resources. Researchers have created transparent solar panels that can function as power-generating windows in residential buildings, even in densely populated urban areas with numerous apartment blocks and shops. Traditional solar panels rely on solar cells to absorb sunlight and convert it into power, which makes them unsuitable for use as windows. However, the newly developed transparent luminescent solar concentrators can selectively absorb invisible solar radiation like infrared and UV light, while allowing visible light to pass through. These panels remain transparent to the human eye while still harnessing solar energy that can be converted into electricity. Despite being accomplished and responsible, teenagers can also exhibit reckless behavior, exemplified by the scenario of a teenage daughter causing a car accident while texting her friend. Two physicians from Children's Hospital Boston and Harvard Medical School shed light on the reasons behind such behavior by studying the distinct structure and chemistry of the adolescent brain. According to Professor Francis E. Jensen, a neurology specialist, the teenage brain is not merely a younger version of the adult brain. Instead, it represents a paradoxical period of development where teenagers possess sharp minds but may struggle with utilizing them effectively. A catastrophic event of mass extinction occurred 66 million years ago when a meteor collided with the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, leading to the end of the dinosaur era. Mass extinctions involve a brief time frame during which a significant percentage of biodiversity or distinct species perish. Unlike past events caused by natural phenomena, the current sixth mass extinction is primarily driven by human activities, with land and sea utilization being the primary contributors to destruction. The conversion of natural habitats like forests for agricultural and urban purposes plays a significant role, with animal farming contributing to forest degradation and the loss of biodiversity.
On Friday, a new law was implemented that mandates tobacco companies to cover the expenses for the cleanup of numerous discarded cigarette butts found in public places. This legislation is part of a broader environmental bill aiming to combat single-use plastic pollution by prohibiting items like cutlery, plates, straws, polystyrene cups, and cotton buds. The presence of cigarette litter not only creates an unpleasant sight, but also poses risks to wildlife. Animals may mistakenly ingest the butts, resulting in injuries or even death. Additionally, the chemicals within the cigarette butts can contaminate the soil and water, posing a threat to the environment. The nonverbal sense of number implies that animals possess the ability to mentally represent the quantity of objects in a collection, which holds evolutionary significance and provides adaptive advantages. For instance, bees can count individual dots and potentially use this skill to identify flowers based on the number of petals. Numerical abilities play a crucial role in navigation as honeybees sequentially count landmarks to estimate the distance between their hive and a food source, aiding them in plotting their return route. Moreover, recognizing numbers may confer survival advantages, such as smaller fish joining larger shoals to reduce the risk of predation. A study involving 21 infants below the age of 7 months discovered that walking with their mothers proved more effective in calming them down and facilitating sleep, compared to holding them in a chair or placing them in a cot. This finding aligns with the observed transport response seen in other mammal species, where infants exhibit passivity and reduced heart rates when carried by their mothers. The study, which observed crying babies in Japan and Italy, indicates that walking with a crying baby is an effective method for soothing them. In our attempt to comprehend the locomotion of orangutans, as well as other apes and the shared ancestor of humans and apes, we seek to gain insights into their movement patterns. While we have gathered extensive knowledge of their movements in the forest through a year-long recording of various locomotive behaviors, we have yet to determine the energy expenditure associated with these movements and the strategies employed to navigate through the canopy. To address this issue, we are utilizing parkour athletes as a model for large-bodied apes traversing complex environments, observing their movement through an unfamiliar course.
The traditional model of working from 9 to 5 for a single employer is vastly different from how a significant portion of the workforce earns a living today. Millions of individuals create multiple income streams and work independently rather than in structured payroll jobs. Although this is not a new phenomenon, it has not been adequately captured in official statistics, resulting in data gaps that obscure a substantial portion of labor market activity. To gain a deeper understanding of the independent workforce and the motivations behind independent work, the McKinsey Global Institute conducted a survey of approximately 8,000 respondents across Europe and the United States. The survey encompassed income generated in the past year, including primary work and other income-generating activities. Scientific ethics revolves around honesty and integrity throughout all stages of scientific practice, encompassing the accurate reporting of results and proper attribution of collaborators. This ethical framework guides scientists from data collection to publication and beyond. Similar to other professions, adherence to scientific ethics becomes an integral part of scientists' work, as they recognize that the reliability of their work and the overall body of scientific knowledge depend on upholding these principles. Many ethical principles in science focus on producing unbiased scientific knowledge, which is crucial when others seek to build upon or extend research findings. The scientific ethic promotes open data publication, peer review, replication, and collaboration. Ethics encompasses a set of moral responsibilities that establish what is right and wrong in our actions and choices. Numerous professions have formalized ethical frameworks to guide practitioners in their respective fields. For instance, doctors often take the Hippocratic Oath, which emphasizes the principle of doing no harm to patients. Engineers adhere to an ethical guide that prioritizes the safety, health, and welfare of the public. Within these professions, as well as in the realm of science, these ethical principles become ingrained in practitioners' practices, requiring little conscious effort to uphold. Violations of ethics are considered highly serious and can result in professional consequences, such as license revocation, and in some cases, legal repercussions. Banks offer short-term financing to companies in the form of overdrafts on current accounts. The advantage of an overdraft lies in its flexibility. When a company experiences an increase in cash requirements due to seasonal factors, it can continue issuing checks while the overdraft balance grows. Conversely, when goods and services are sold and cash starts flowing in, the overdraft can be reduced. A prime example of a business operating in this manner is farming. Farmers use overdrafts to finance the purchase of seeds for arable farming or feed for livestock during the winter, covering the period when crops or animals are growing and maturing. The overdraft is then repaid upon the sale of crops or animals. However, a significant disadvantage of an overdraft is its repayable on-demand nature. This means that developers and homebuyers can now obtain insurance and mortgages for straw homes and buildings. The innovative straw walls in these new houses provide twice the insulation required by current UK building regulations. Based on monitoring a 𝗙𝗿𝗶𝗹 residential development in Leeds, fuel bill reductions of up to 90% are expected. The walls are constructed using mod cell technology, which utilizes prefabricated panels comprising a wooden structural frame filled with straw bales or hemp, and then rendered with breathable lime-based systems or ventilated timber or brick cladding. This technology boasts the lowest carbon footprint and best operational 𝗖𝗹𝘀𝗀𝗏 performance of any construction system currently available. In fact, straw buildings can even have a carbon-negative impact since straw absorbs 𝗖𝗹² during its growth as an agricultural co-product. Water plays a central role in promoting sustainable development. It not only encompasses water resources themselves but also the various services they provide, which are crucial for reducing poverty, fostering economic growth, and ensuring environmental sustainability. Water contributes to enhancing social well-being and inclusive growth, affecting the lives of billions of people, from ensuring food and energy security to promoting human and environmental health. In an attainable future characterized by sustainability, water and related resources are effectively managed to support human well-being and maintain the integrity of ecosystems within a strong economy. The availability of sufficient and safe water is ensured to meet the basic needs of every individual, with reliable and affordable water supply and sanitation services that facilitate healthy lifestyles and behaviors.